You deserve quality health care for your body and mind regardless of your ability to pay. That's why Bowen Health conveniently offers trusted mental health care, primary health care, and addiction recovery treatment for everyone. Having regular checkups with a provider you trust means they can catch concerns early before they become an emergency. For compassionate health care, make an appointment today at bowenhealth.org. That's bowenhealth.org.
All right, well, welcome back to the ThriveIN Podcast. Our listeners are in for a treat because they get all three hosts in the studio. And we are joined by the magic that is Kim Morrow.
I'm not sure how magic it is, but okay.
It's magic because we're going to talk to the person, the woman, the powerhouse that produces this podcast.
The fourth host. She's kind of the silent host, but she has a lot to say about what it sounds like when the listeners hear it.
Way more than I do when it comes to the episode. Put that on a business card, Kim. Powerhouse. I like that one.
Yeah.
That was good.
I try to give that's going to make things sound better, and you guys do really good. So
I don't think you try.
I think you do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're rated pretty high in the podcast world.
I am grateful.
Oh, maybe I'll win an award.
I am grateful that you edit out portions of my episodes. That's for sure.
I think we all feel that way.
I do use my judgment a lot, but I figure if, you wanted it back in, especially Christine, because I know you listen to it, she'd say, hey, put that back in, which is not hard to do.
If our listeners haven't gathered, Kim Morrow is our producer. She's the woman who listens to hours and hours and hours of our content in the raw. Sometimes it's easy edits, sometimes it's long edits. She works for Waters and Company, which is our company that produces, but Kim has been with us since the very beginning, so we are so glad to have you, Kim.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So we like to ask each of our guests, a little bit about who they are. So who is Kim Morrow?
Kim Morrow is a mom. I have two girls, one in heaven and one on earth. I have one grandbaby. She just turned 6 months.
Your grandbaby's name has a special name too, doesn't she?
Her name's Emberly Jane.
Aww.
And her first name is a mix between my name, my daughter Amber's name, and then her mommy's name, Emily. So it's all three of our names mixed into one. So
And Amber's your daughter
she's my
who's in
oldest
heaven.
daughter. Yeah. Yep, she's my oldest one. I lost her at 17 in a car accident. So
Already.
yep, I miss her completely. I really wish she was here to watch the baby because she would just she loved kids. When we'd go to church, she always was in the little kids' room, and took care of the little kids while we were at church. And I actually do not live in Wabash County. Am I the first person that doesn't live in Wabash County on here?
Yet. You don't live in Wabash County yet.
Well, there's a story there, too.
Oh,
There's a story. Well, I almost did. When I first started working for Shane, back in 21, into 21, in 2022, I decided I'm going to move up here. And at that same time, my daughter was dating her husband at the time. And I looked at quite a few houses up here, actually, and nothing just really stuck out to me. And then I found out that she was going to get married. And I'm like, I can't be that far away from grandkids. So my house hunt went wayside, and I stayed just east of Muncie. So I live in a little bitty town.
What town is it?
A little bitty town.
Okay. I like that.
It's one of those. I live south of Parker City. If people know where Parker City's at, they'll know exactly where I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's real small. You blink, you missed it. There's one stop sign in the whole town.
So what I hear is it's a possibility. She entertained it. It's just going to be at a different time. Yeah.
What I hear is that she's going to move here, and her daughter and son-in-law and grandbaby.
I did try to get them to move here because he was in the military. So after they got married, they lived in Chicago for a little over a year. And I'm like, hey, why don't we all just... And she's like, no, Mom, no. All of our family's there, so she wanted to make sure the baby was around everybody. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just stay here.
And being that close to Muncie, I'm assuming that's how you got to know Shane. You originally worked together, did you not?
We originally worked together at a place that we refer to as hell.
Most of the time you're cutting me out cussing, Kim. Now we got to cut you out for cussing. Wouldn't even know how to go about doing that.
It's not hard. But Yeah, we started working together. Oh man, I don't even remember what year it was. It was about 3 years after Amber passed away, and she passed away in 2012. And my favorite story that Shane tells about us meeting was we first met, like it was right before Christmas, and we had a secret Santa at work, and he didn't know me. And he's like, who doesn't like booze? I'm going to get her a big bottle of, of alcohol. And the day that we were supposed to unwrap stuff, one boss said, hey, what did you end up getting Kim? And he's like, well, I got her a big thing of alcohol. And she's like, you did not. And he's like, yes, I did. And she says, you do know that her was killed by a drunk driver, don't you? And he's like, no, can I leave for a few minutes? And he went and bought something else. So that was the first time that he really interacted with me. And the first thing that I remember about him, we were standing in line for that same supervisor, and he is extremely tall and I'm extremely short. So I was behind him, and he turned around and he looked straight down at me and he says, oh my God, I can't even take you seriously. And he turns around and walks away, and I'm like, what? Because I have to look straight up at him. So, yeah, that's how Shane and I met.
And Shane, just to remind our listeners, is Shane Waters of Waters and Company, and who is the one that took on helping us build this podcast and bringing Kim into our lives. And so you've been a podcast producer and host with Shane now since when?
I started working for him full time. I always kind of had a hand in it, but I didn't start working for him until late 21. And then I don't think we started the Mystery Inc., which is now the Haunted Bunker. I don't think we started it for a couple more years after that. So probably, I think we've been at it like 3 years for the Haunted Bunker. But yeah. And when I originally started working for him, I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I was more, paperwork and meetings and shipping stuff out and all that kind of stuff, And then the producer that we had at the time was having a hard time editing Shane. And so Shane's like, hey, why don't you try this? And I'm like, okay. And turned out I was pretty good at it. So I continued to do it.
So if you can help with the listeners here, Haunted Bunker, what's that show? Where's the name come from? If you're able to share.
It used to be Mystery Inc. We changed it to the Haunted Bunker because a lot of people thought it had something to do with Scooby-Doo, and it really doesn't. We can talk about anything from true crime stuff to Bigfoot or, all kind. We talk about anything. There's nothing that we don't talk about on that show. And it's just fun. We just sit around and chit chat, and one of us will tell a little story about something, and it's a good time. We have a great time with it. Yeah. It originally started out with his brother Josh and then himself. And then one day I was in the office when we had the office downtown here, and he's like, hey, why don't you come over here? And I'm like, and I was super nervous. Real nervous, because I had never done anything like that before. And he says, come over here and talk to us. And I'm like, okay. And so we ended up talking about Amber and how everything happened with Amber. So it was really cool. And then wasn't on for a little while again. And then he decided he was going to do video. Well, the first couple times he tried to do video, it didn't work. The videos wasn't working. So he's like, why don't you come and just sit in, make sure the video is still running. And I'm like, okay. So I just started watching, making sure the video was okay. And then the next thing I knew, there was a microphone in front of my face, and I was permanent. That's the way it's been ever since.
We've gotten to benefit, this podcast has, from all of Shane's bumps and bruises along the way. And one of our early episodes with Shane, he tells the story he was one of the, if not the first true crime podcasters back when podcasts first got started, right?
Yep.
And so what the technology was like then, to hearing your story about how when he moves to video, doesn't work, all those things. We've been extremely fortunate that Shane helped us, not only still helps us with producing the podcast, but from the very beginning, basically built a grocery cart wish list of everything we needed and walked all of us through. Adam's mastered it. Christine's mastered the setup of what camera we need, what technology. So we've just benefited from all the progression in the podcast industry and not made a lot of those mistakes because of the knowledge that Shane shared and obviously your help on the back end as well.
I didn't know him when he originally started it when he was in college. And of course he thought that was just because I watched part of that episode because I don't think I edited that one. And so I didn't know him then. And I think he kind of let it go for a little bit. And then not too long after him and I met, he's like, hey, I got an idea I want to talk to you about. And I'm like, okay. And he says, what do you think about me starting a podcast? And I'm like, okay. And he's like, do you even know what that is? I'm like, no. So he tells me, it's like a kind of like a radio show, only it's on demand. It's whenever you want to listen to it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that would be a good idea. And so when he originally started doing it like that, he says, I want you to listen to this. Mm-hmm. Tell me what I can improve. Tell me what's going to make it sound better. So I've pretty much always been involved with it. For a while, I was doing transcripts for him. I did different things for him on and off through it, but I didn't go full-time until 21.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome that he has enough work, Shane does, to have you be a fulltime employee since 2021. That's a testament also to the business that he's built with help.
Yeah, he has a great mind, and I hope he never listens to this because I will promise that I did not say that. But when it comes to podcasting, he is like one step ahead of everybody. He's been in it for so long. He knows what's going to go next, And, we were talking earlier about some of the things that's going to roll out soon. Nothing's public yet, and it's going to be the next thing. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt in my mind it'll be the next thing. That's just the way he works.
Yeah. With you being his producer and producing us, so I got to know, we didn't know each other before.
No.
We sat in this room and recorded we sat in Shane's and recorded the first episode. Or was that the trailer?
Yeah, kind of like the intro.
The intro to who we are. And then we were in our own space. I have to know, would the first time Shane said, okay, I've got this podcast for you. I'm going to produce the first one.
I think he did the first few. And at that point, I had been doing the Haunted Bunker for a while. And he's like, hey, got something new coming down. He says, you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll look at it. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he says, just basically the same thing that you do for the Haunted Bunker. And I'm like, okay. And so I put it together, and I've done it ever since then.
You have. What is that like for you to... You do such a great job. It's so effortless from what we know.
What we see.
We know what we give her.
Here,
yeah, we know what we give her.
Yeah.
So we know what we're uploading for you, Kim. But what is that process for you when you go to sit down and I say, okay, we've got an episode ready for you? What does that look like for you from a producer standpoint?
So basically, I just get into the raw file and take the raw file and put it into our editing platform.
And so for our listeners, the raw files basically exactly what happens in this studio from the time that we press record till we press stop.
Yeah. So I'll put it in our editing program, and I'll sit and listen to it step by step by step and take things out and put things in and take things out and shorten things up. And I do all kinds of stuff. I make you guys sound smart.
Have you ever fallen asleep listening to the raw?
No, you guys I have not. No, you guys I have not. Shane, however, I have fallen asleep to him before. And that's just because for his Foul Play and Hometown History podcast, his tone is very mellow. And if you're sleepy, I'll be out like a light.
Yeah.
What are you saying? I'm not mellow? My tone's not mellow?
No, sorry.
No one's ever said that about me.
But yeah, so it takes me, if I get a raw file that's about an hour long, you can guarantee it's going to take me at least twice as long to get through it and edit it. Sometimes it depends on how bad it is. It can take longer. It can take longer. Like, I mean, I take out a lot of ums and uhs and long pauses and that type of stuff. There was one that I done. It wasn't this podcast. It was another podcast, and it wasn't one of ours. It was another one that we had done for somebody. And the guy that was being interviewed said every 3 words, and it was an hour and a half. It took me 2 days to do it.
That's a manual edit then. So they
Yes.
haven't created a software
No,
yet? That
they
you can...
have.
Oh, really?
Yes, there is an AI that you can use that'll take that kind of stuff out, but it's not really accurate because I'll only take them out if I can take them out clean and you can't tell that it was there originally. If you use the AI, it could cut part of another word off. And so if you just do it like that and you give it to somebody, it's going to sound like crud, you know?
Kind of choppy.
Yeah, it's going to sound choppy, and you don't want that. You want it to be as smooth as possible. So if I can't take something out that's clean, I'll leave it, and it sounds better, you know, than something being cut up and chopped.
I was interested when we first started. I was interested in kind of learning all aspects of what it took, and so I got some editing software, and I can't remember if we recorded something or if I came in here and just kind of recorded on my own. I wanted to see what it took to edit it. It's in depth, and I mean, I probably spent 5 days. Now I had to learn the software and things, but the difference between making it sound natural, edited but natural, versus you knew it was edited and it was choppy and the tones were off, is critical because we want this to be a conversation.
Right. Yeah.
We're just sitting around, we're having a conversation, but we do know that and you know those things happen, and we don't want those in there, but we want it to feel like we're just sitting around having a good time and talking. So
yeah, those things happen with guests and us, all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. I think I've said it on here before. It's really hard for me to listen anymore to myself when it's one of my episodes. Just hearing your own voice through your vehicle when you're driving is just an odd thing. But when we first started, I was listening to try and think, okay, what do I need to do differently when we're interviewing folks? And I would remember hosting an episode, having a conversation, and remember every detail of what it was like in the studio with that person. Then I would hear the finalized edited version, and it was like, wow, it was natural, but also I was really nervous how that episode was going to turn out, and you made myself look better consistently and guests, right?
You
When
can,
stuff
you can do
happens
that with
guests.
audio. You can make it really seamless to where you can't tell that anything's been cut out of it. But on video, because you go from one movement to another one, all of a sudden, there's no way you can not make it look, you know, real smooth like you can audio.
So can I ask some like behind the scenes questions?
Go for it.
So we each have our own style when we're sitting in the what we call the driver's seat. And you know, Christine has all 4 of our images up on the screen right now, and she probably won't touch that the entire conversation.
Don't rock the boat. Don't
Yeah.
rock the boat.
I like to get back there, and I'm constantly changing. Not constantly, but I like to do, you know, a single. If you're talking, I want to put the camera on you or some sort of a combination. Is there a preference on your side?
No,
No,
it does not matter at all. It doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
It's all the same file, whether it's just a different angle or not. It doesn't matter at all.
Now, Kim, it probably feels like you've known us for a long time.
It really does.
Because you listen and edit all of these conversations and episodes.
really
but
does.
in person, just met you when we came in to do this episode. And so don't be afraid like you're going to offend any of us if there's a question like that. And it's like, no, Alex is really difficult when we're doing X. You won't hurt our feelings. We can all handle.
No, but I
handle-
do have a
handle
question for
feedback.
you guys.
Yeah.
So I know the answer to this question, but I want to know what you guys think first. Which one of you gets the most editing on their episodes? Who has to have the most editing
I would.
on their
It
part?
has to be. I'm going to say myself.
I'm going to say Christine because I know that she sends you very specific editing, and I don't. Like, I just don't spend the time that Christine does to send you the pre-edits.
In regard to removing ums and pauses or overall,
Yeah.
probably me.
What?
No.
I do. I think I prattle on sometimes. And Kim's like, "Oh, she said that 6 times."
No, you really don't. You might think that you do, but you don't really. And if you do, I take that out.
Well, I love whatever she's going to say because it's not me. So
I was
who
going to
is
say,
it?
is she going to tell us?
It's not you. It's not you either.
Oh, you're kidding.
It's Adam.
It's Adam.
It's Adam. He has the most ums and yeah.
Really?
He always
I
has
love
the
it.
most.
This is good. We should do this more often. I would have voted Adam was the shining star.
Always. Alex and I are always like, Adam's just so smooth. He's over here like Mozart on this, panel controlling the cameras. You don't even notice he's doing
Because
it.
you guys hear her edited version.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
is
That's
true.
exactly
And something
right.
else that
That's exactly right.
all of you are guilty of this, but some are worse than others. You'll start something and then you'll repeat yourself like the first 3
that
words
has
or
to be
whatever.
me.
No.
That has to be me.
It's me.
This is awesome. Why do you do this more often?
Sorry, Adam.
This is great accountability. We need to do this. Next time that Adam's in here high and mighty, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
hey, who would be the last person? Who would be the most humble person in the studio is Adam.
But you guys
that's-
all do really good job. You do a good job.
Here I am.
How you feeling
Love
over
it.
there?
Here I am. I tell Kim, hey, gloves off. Just be honest with us. Heck yeah, keep it up. This is
like,
great.
I
No
brought
accountability.
I brought notes.
Straight to it.
It's so much fun, though. I have so much fun doing it.
Great.
Do you have a few other of those questions you're going to lob out there? I mean, now I'm really into this episode.
I'm done.
This is good.
I'm done.
And this one, you're being dishonest about this one. I think I know this. I know some of our listeners have made comments just about who has the worst facial expressions. So that's not my question because I know that I have the most.
Yes,
my question
you do.
is just who has the most expressive personality when it comes to what somebody's
that's
saying.
Christine.
Okay.
Completely.
Like all body language, facial, hand motions, everything.
Yeah,
Sound
that's
effects.
definitely
Interacting,
Christine. Yeah.
like when I ask you a question, I'm engaging with my body language and things.
And Christine's
Yeah.
the loudest too.
that was one of my questions. I was
If you
gonna
get
ask you.
excited, if you get really excited, you can tell because you're really excited and you get louder.
How about sound effects? Do you have a file just of her sound effects that she's made in the studio?
I have my own sound effects. I can put my own sound effects in there. I can put a sensor beep in it,
Oh.
and I do that on occasion with the hidden bunker.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. We're pretty good on
No, you guys are very
start.
good.
Yeah.
Once we're on start.
Yeah, you guys are very good about cussing. Now, however, the back side of that, there's one that's not quite as good as everybody else.
We have a little slip every now and
It
then.
has a little slip every now and then, and it cracks me up every time he does it.
It's interesting you talk about
That
some.
one, I don't think that one's going to fall in your
No,
category.
that
Adam.
is
You
not
don't
following.
cuss.
No, that is not
Yeah.
it, Adam.
Yeah.
Well, an interesting note
Working
about
on it. I'm working on it.
about podcast is you also, when we were building this out and getting it set to launch, Kim helped and Shane helped. You have to create a category for the podcast. You also have to rate it whether for language. And so we rated it G-rated, and our family, I forget what it's not G, what is it now? But it's basically
Not sure.
language is fine. There's no violence. We've had one episode where we added a disclaimer because we talked about some sensitive topics, but that didn't recategorize
Right.
this podcast because we had to pick a genre for it to fall under when Shane was building it in the backside.
When you set that at that, it can also be changed. Like if you get people that complain, say,
or comment and say
yeah,
this language
say,
is
this
bad.
language
on
is
this.
bad. They will change it because that's what happened to the haunted bunker. Because we're at an explicit now.
Oh, are you now?
Oh yeah,
Oh, come on.
yeah, we are.
Coming at you.
Yeah,
Coming at you.
and there's stuff that I still take out. Then I'm like, no, that's still too much. That's too much. I don't care what I mean, we are bad cussers. Don't have the cleanest mouths. But I won't let the F-bomb, that gets a beep out of me. I won't take it out, but I'll beep it so people know what we're saying.
Yeah.
But
You've never had to beep any of us, have you, in the
No.
episode? Have we had a beep in any of
No.
ours? Okay.
no beeps.
That's a nice sound effect, though. Maybe I'll ask you for a beep in an episode real quick so that it can beep what I'm about to say and then beep.
Yeah, you should set it up with something and then tell me to put a real long beep and then then people can imagine what you put in the middle of it.
You keep asking her these questions, and she keeps throwing me under the bus. She may get a beep out of me.
No,
That was
I'm
funny.
done throwing you under the bus.
That was a
I'm
good
sorry,
one.
Adam.
That was good. That was funny.
So I'm surprised. I feel like I'm the chatterbox of the three of us when you're sitting and trying to make magic out of the.
You can get off topic a little bit.
Do
Yeah, you can get off topic a little bit.
Everybody hold a pillow. This is a pair.
But
Therapeutic.
Can you still hear me?
you do get off topic a little bit, but I don't feel like that you're that bad. And if it gets way, way off, then I'll just take it out.
Yeah. Then she just cuts me. She's lost it. She's off the rails now, guys. I got to bring this back around.
Yeah.
Has it been interesting to get to know us through the podcast production side of things? Or do you feel like you actually do have a good sense of who we are?
Oh, yeah. I really feel like I know who you are. All of you.
I saw her facial expression to the first part of your question of, has it been interesting getting to know us? And she was like, no, you're not very interesting. It's like, huh.
That's not true. That's not true.
Our listeners, they get a roughly 45 to 60-minute episode every week.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we're in here for an hour and a half, and we may record the entire hour and a half. We're adjusting mic volumes and cameras, but we're also just carrying on conversations. And it depends on who's in the podcast studio with us. If it's just the three of us, I'm sure Kim has heard us talk a lot.
Oh, yeah.
About things that are going on. But she's just zips it up, holds it in.
It's in
Oh,
the strict
every once in a while.
confidentiality agreement.
Every once in a while, I'll shoot Christine a message and say something, especially when you had that little slip of the tongue. And
She actually
Slip
likes
of the
it.
tongue.
She kind of fans out. She's like, I love when Alex does that.
it just cracks me up. I don't know why. It just cracks me up.
So there is an element of confidentiality as well, because not only do you hear as we're getting things set up, and sometimes it's an episode with just the three of us, and we're catching up from the week, the day, the last time we saw each other, you sometimes will hear some of our information. And we know that, obviously, it's not a secret, because we're like, okay, Kim, we're getting ready to start. But sometimes you are hearing some vulnerabilities from some of our guests who may come back to us and ask us to remove some things they shared during the recording that make them uncomfortable and or just edits in general. But you hear the entire raw, real drop from the get-go.
Yep.
And so there is that piece of confidentiality that you have to hold for us. So we do appreciate that too, and the integrity.
Well, I have the memory about this long. So
So
when I
guests
get
that have been on the
done-
podcast,
Yeah.
be at ease. Kim forgot.
when I get done
whatever
with
it
an
is.
episode and I'm like, Christine, it's done. It's all yours. It's
Yeah,
gone.
you're on to, yeah.
I'm on to the next thing. I do too much to
Yeah.
really remember.
You listen to so
And I
much.
actually sat down and went back through episodes just so that I could pick out the ones that I liked the best, and stuff. So that if we talked about that, I would know which ones.
It's on my list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get to
Good.
that in
Yeah,
a
we'll
second.
get to
But
it.
one thing that I know I catch myself doing a lot, and almost every guest I've tried to remember to say it to when we start, if I ask you a question and you don't like how I asked the question or you don't like how you answered the question, just tell me and I'll say, Kim, at this question, I'm going to ask that a different way or I'm going to ask that again. Let's go back and do it again, right? And so every time that I've listened to an episode, you've always done a great job of catching that. And I know the guest appreciates it, but most of the time it's been me and how I've asked a question or phrased even an answer from me as a part of a conversation that I knew I wanted to say it a better way than.
And I like that better when you talk to me and say, cut this part out here, here, and here, instead of doing the timestamps, which I'm okay with the timestamps too, but I like the other way better. Just because when you use timestamps, you have to go from the end to the beginning or you will mess your timestamps up and you won't have the right timestamps. Once you take that very first one out, all the rest of the
your
timestamps
footage.
aren't right because you take some out. Yeah, so I really like it when you guys do that. It makes it easier for me.
Before we find out about your questions on ThriveIN episodes, all those things, just collectively of the podcast shows that you listen to, right, and edit for Shane, whether it's ones you're on or otherwise, of all the shows that you've done since you've been with Shane, rate us collectively
Oh, that's easy.
as a podcast. Like, is it an A? Is it a B? Is it a C?
You guys are always very entertaining. It doesn't make any difference what the topic's about. It's always really entertaining. And then we also do the Woodward files. I love history. So every time I always geek out when I'm like, oh, yes, there's a new one. I'm always so happy.
She texted me once. She's like, I'm clutching my pearls as Mr. Woodward talks about the house of ill repute.
I was cracking up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love history and I love to listen to him talk. He reminds me of my grandpa. So that's just a bonus for me. But yeah, you guys are always top notch.
I think it's interesting that because Kim's not from here and she doesn't, I'm assuming you don't know most of our guests that we have on. And
I don't know that I've known any of them.
Shane.
And so she's learning about
Shane.
learning about our community, the residents here, the programs that are going on. So, and, also editing, but I think it's a really cool perspective that to know that you're an outsider, but you're learning alongside.
And I've noticed, I mean, you guys are always talking about how great this community is, and everybody is so kind, and being an outsider looking in, that is so true. This community is definitely different than any place I've ever been. So the people that's out there that aren't from this community and you think, yeah, it can't be that great. No, it really is. It's a really cool place.
I can see Kim over there as she's watching me and hearing me speak. She's already like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to cut that out.
Unfortunately,
Don't beat yourself up, Adam. Don't beat yourself up.
Unfortunately, that's part of the career, because even when I'm standing just talking to somebody out on the street or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, they just said, Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
You pick up on that.
Yeah, I
would be
pick
hard.
up on
Yeah.
stuff really easy.
Well, that's your world. That's your life, is counting ums and pauses or mispronunciations.
Yeah. She's still, even with the feedback, she said you're top notch.
Yeah. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
You still do good.
Oh, we're good.
I'm the first one getting fired.
Well, we can afford you, so we'll keep you. We all do it for the same price.
That's right.
Yeah, we can afford you. That's for sure. Do you have any more quick fire questions over there for Kim?
Well, would you give us some feedback to each one of us on things that we could do that maybe we haven't
Don't pick
picked up
on
on
me.
ourselves?
It's like, pick on the rest but when he says we, that's not the royal we.
The
That's
other two.
Because it's like, I've heard mine. What about Alex? Because he's a pain in the butt.
I don't even know what I could say to make you guys do something better. No. 'Cause-
Backfired.
No.
Just digger deep. You're the only.
Horrible question,
Get him
Adam.
out of here.
Horrible question.
And for our listeners, we'll have a new co-host coming next season. Just one. It's open.
No, you guys do. You all do a great job. There's nothing that I could say that would make you guys any better.
We have,
You shush over there.
except Adam's, but we've already talked about that.
No,
So.
Adam does great.
He
Once
does
the
do
microphone's off, she'll give me some updates on what I can do better.
That is not true.
I will say, after going back and, we, all three of us did a lot. First of all, we're active and avid podcast listeners. So we were really structured on how we thought we had to record before we got to know how talented you were to make us sound better. I was so worried that we could only look in a certain direction because of the way the cameras are in the space. Or I used to get so mad when Alex would show his notes. I thought we had to look like we had it all memorized and what I realized.
This is what I do when we record.
I know. Get that going. I'm surprised you haven't been coming with that crochet.
Get to
I know
knitting.
It's
girl.
crochet. Oh,
Get to
It's
crocheting.
crochet.
Sorry.
It's crochet. This is what I do I have a lot of nervous problems. So this is what I do to keep myself calm.
you see.
And-
Oh, wow, it's working.
Yeah, so.
Cool, calm, and collected.
But we've learned a lot from listening and watching, and also trusting Kim to edit out, that we can be back to the purpose of which is what Adam had said. This is a conversation, and if we're not relaxed and comfortable with our notes and our crochet in our lap and in our water bottles, then the conversation is going to feel that same, staged or stoic. And so having you be able to polish all the oopses and Adam's ums has made it.
Yeah, but on a serious note to that,
Yeah.
Christine, when you were talking, one thing I've found interesting is that the episodes that Adam walks away from saying, I did terrible on that episode, that was awful, right? When it comes out, I hear, and I don't listen to the raw, but I hear the episode, and I'll, like, in our message chat, right, group chat, I'll text him, like, Adam, like, I don't know if you thought your other ones were good, but that one was one of my favorite ones, right, like, that you did. And I find same thing, like, one episode that I think, man, I think that was a great conversation. I'll listen to it, and it's like, oh, that wasn't as good as ones where I thought I struggled in the past, right? So I think that's the other interesting part about the whole podcast thing is when you're in the studio, how you envision a conversation went isn't always actually what, and we're all hard on ourselves, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they always turn out good, right? Because of your help, Kim, likely, and getting them doctored up. But.
And we've thrown curveballs at you, Kim. Like, we've had episodes that had 0 visual, so no video at all.
I had to build a video.
You had to build a video and a screen placeholder thingy or whatever. I don't know what you did, but you made that magic work. I forgot one time closing out an episode. This is going to shock you guys. I forgot to say our sponsors on a live read. And I had to ask Kim if she could add that back in.
Did she pull it from another episode?
Yeah.
Wow.
She pulled it.
Well, Kim will know this, that obviously we'll press the record button, have entry, just social conversations with our guest, and then we'll say, Kim, all right, we're getting rolling at X time or what have you. But I'll ask my guests before I actually go live in the episode. I'll say to them, please remind me if I forget, I have to thank these guests, right? So they've reminded me, and she's had to cut them reminding me out that I need to go and thank my sponsors, right? So.
Yeah, and the only thing that I couldn't do when I had to do that for you, if I had taken the video from the other one, it would have looked like you had a miraculous wardrobe change
in the middle. Yeah.
So I just put the audio and then put her picture above it.
Yeah.
She's so good.
We
I
did.
didn't even
We did.
sweat
Call
it.
You've definitely thrown some curveballs my way. Can you do this? Can you add pictures into this? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm
Speaking of wardrobe
"Oh,
changes, the
figure it out."
podcast has made me more mindful of the frequency that I wear certain things, because there was at one point, like we've told our listeners before, we each record basically one that releases a month, right? And then there may be a group one that we're all in. But my timing has been poor in the past, where back episodes that I'll be leading, right? 2 months in a row, I'll have the same exact shirt pant combo going. And I'm like, wow, our listeners are going to really think that
I want
I
to
need
know.
to update my wardrobe. So I've been more mindful, like, am I recording today? And what did I wear the last time I was recording to make sure it's different?
Our haunted bunker, they probably think that what I wear is the only thing I have, because I always wear, which it's a mystery ink one because of the last, what was named last time.
Yeah.
And I always wear my mystery ink shirt and jeans, and they probably think I have nothing else in my wardrobe besides that, because that's what I always wear.
At least it's on theme with the show. My hand-me-down dress shirt that I got from the career closet in college isn't as meaningful to our podcast.
There for a while, I think it was your community foundation or Imagine Early vest.
Yeah.
For a
That
while.
might have been the one where I realized
You were
that
like, whoa, I'm in this vest again,
yeah.
a couple of times. So we have thrown some curveballs at you, Kim.
You have.
What sticks out to be the hardest that we've given you to do? And I know who it's going to involve, and it's not me or Alex.
This is great.
Yeah. You remember the hikers? Tammy, Sarah, and Leah. What was that one called?
29029.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Adding
I
the
love that
pictures in.
episode.
In that video?
Oh, yeah, the video. Yeah, I had to figure out how to do that.
You pulled a picture up into the
She
video?
She
clips?
added video
I had a
to
video.
the video.
Yeah, I added
see,
video
I
to the
just
video.
I listened to the whole episode. I don't remember hearing about that. But
Sometimes it's not even a prompt. She just does it.
cool.
And that sometimes, I mean, you'll put pictures in, and I'll just lay those over as you guys are talking about them too. And I had to learn how to do all of that stuff. The only, when I started with you guys, I didn't know how to do the video. I didn't, and I'll ask Shane, hey, do you know how to do this? Nope. Okay, I'll figure it out.
See,
Then
we're
I'll
helping
figure it
her.
out.
We're helping her.
Yes. Adam's making, we all make each other better.
Yeah,
There we go.
We do. We do.
You to us much more often than vice versa.
For sure. So just to clarify that, so Kim didn't go to podcast school. She didn't graduate from podcast university. This is something that is 100% self-taught.
Neither did Adam.
Yeah, Shane.
Obviously.
Shane originally taught me how to do it, but it takes many, many hours to get good at it. And I think I'm pretty good at it.
Very good.
Not to toot my own horn.
Our
But
listeners, our listeners do too. Our listeners do too. Feedback's
and the
good.
more you do it, the better you are at it. So.
Yeah.
We added our first commercial. Bowen Health came alongside of us in the latter part of this calendar year. And we had no idea what that would entail, but we knew that Kim could handle it. So we just gave you another raw file. And now it's seamless with that partnership too. And that, because of your level of expertise, allows us to bring along an ad partner of the quality of Bowen Health, because you do make them sound good.
Yeah, well, you got the file, and that's all I needed really was the file and a picture, and I can get it in there. It's really not hard. It's really not hard to do. It's hard to get good at it, but it's not hard to do.
Once you learn how to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
I would for us to be self-taught and try to learn how to do it. Yeah, no, yeah.
I would totally bring my computer, and if you guys want to see how I do it, I would be fine with coming up and showing you.
You can show Adam. We trust him to make those decisions.
Well, and he needs some TLC clearly.
He needs some bonding time.
yeah.
He has some healing to do.
Yeah.
He has some healing to do.
Do you
That's
not
okay.
have
I'm gonna make him feel
do you have
better here in
shoes
a
on,
minute.
Adam, or do you take your shoes off? Maybe you should start trying to wear shoes. That may help. What do you think, Kim?
I
You
don't
got
know.
shoes on. Shoes
Christine, don't.
on. Maybe that's the fix.
The fix.
I'm going to make him feel better here in a few minutes. It's okay. Go ahead.
Of
great.
all the episodes that you've done so far, you said you went back just to refresh your memory on some of them, but which is your favorite episode of all the ThriveIN episodes?
My Team Triumph.
Oh.
Yeah,
I loved
that was
one.
great.
I loved that episode.
That was one of my, no doubt. You did great. Yeah, you did great, Adam.
Yeah. See, I told you I'd make him feel better.
Just getting a
Thanks, Kim.
crank.
That is a
I
good
tried.
one.
Yeah.
That's an episode that I listen to spot check it before sending it to you in the raw, and then listened in the final production multiple times. I would agree. It's a very well done,
It is.
well thought out episode.
Well, and that was when we kind of threw you a curveball too. Matt used his computer to speak for him. And so we had to kind of make sure that the audio and stuff would work in that situation. That was different than anything we'd done before. And that was
We're really lucky that
fairly early on.
We're really lucky that we have a certain program that we can run it through that evens out the voices so that there's not one a lot louder than the other. And it works really, really good. Really good. So, I mean, that's nothing that I do other than put it into the thing and let it do its thing.
No, but
it's really good.
That's a critical piece. If you're a podcast listener, and we all are, and you've listened to those kind of grassroots episodes of somebody's got an idea and you listen and somebody's speaking and it's real loud. The next person speaks and it's super
real
quiet.
loud.
That's hard. Yeah,
It
you're
is
back
hard.
and forth
On your
the
car,
volume.
you're turning your
Yeah.
So that's what you do. I mean, that's how you're helping us. We have some say when we're sitting behind the control panels to make sure that it's at least in a range, but then you just equalize everything.
It's a program that does it.
Makes it a big difference for our
I
listeners.
still don't know if up is down and down is up on what with the voice, and Adam's taught me 3 or 4 times. But My Team Triumph episode made me think what helped us kindly make the decision to start the podcast was because we're all podcast listeners. We were hearing different states, communities, fields talk about different things. And finally, it was just to the point of like, not that people are doing a lot of great things, but it was like we have a lot of impressive stories of people and guests to highlight. My Team Triumph, Daniel's Place, all of these amazing people and things that are doing unbelievable things in our community. Of course, all of the things we've been able to cover. And it was just like, guys, we can figure this out, right? Because whatever these podcasts are getting these highlights for, like, we've got better stories than that to tell. And we're biased, right? But that episode is for sure one
Yeah.
for me, too.
It's definitely
That's
my
just like,
favorite.
man, holy cow.
I mean, another reason that it was my favorite, so my daughter Emily, she used to teach in a special needs class at an elementary. So that's kind of been, really close to our hearts anyway. And when that one came out, she had found out that she was pregnant, and they had wasn't there a video with that? There was a video in that. And I told her, I said, Emmy, you got to watch this video. And she's like, all right. So I set my computer up, and I started push play on it. And 2 seconds into it, Mom, I can't watch this. I can't watch this. I'm going to cry. And she goes off and she's just bawling. And so it was really cool to see them do that for those kids.
Sometimes those added pieces that you add into the recording, the video, I generally only listen audio to the podcast. I think you generally are the same, Alex, because you're on the road and you're on the road.
Yeah.
I have found a tremendous amount of people who listen, who watch it on YouTube. And so if you haven't watched any of our previous episodes, you might give it a go. Not all of them have photos added to them. I know our upcoming episode with Bill and Mike Paul, your upcoming episode, has a photo added to it. And we did that in a couple different ones. I think we did that on the Behind the Mic with Alex Downard. There's some...
Oh, yeah.
Why was I not consulted about what photos were used?
We
on
know
that
you'll never
episode? I
see
didn't
it.
even know photos were in. So when someone's talking about something, you all if I'm watching on YouTube, there's a video that pops up on my screen instead of our faces, like if I was normally watching one?
Possibly.
Really?
Yeah.
What photo did you use?
You'll have to go back and watch.
Oh, man.
We did the
I
same
don't
with.
even remember what they were.
Oh, I do.
There were multiple?
Yeah,
Oh,
there
I
was
think
like
there's like your football
4 or
photo.
so. 4 or 5 maybe.
Do you know that we have an Instagram channel too?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Part-timer.
That's funny
Those
that he
algorithms-
didn't even know those pictures were in there.
No. And I will say, Alex, the moment he hands over the hard drive with the raw on it, he's done.
Part-timer, yeah.
He's good. He's got the content. He meets his deadlines. Together, we work on show notes.
That's together
He
we work on
proofs
show notes.
and-
That's
yeah.
generous.
So
that is
we-
generous of
Just
what you do for me. Yeah.
Keep rolling, Christine. Keep
Yeah.
rolling.
And
Just
then-
keep going.
And then that's it. I mean, he just moonwalks right out of the studio. That's the last time he thinks about it till it's up. And he listens to the finish. He has no idea. You are literally a magical fairy person. He's like, she probably not even real. Who Kim?
Yeah.
Kim.
Hey,
Who am I talking to?
welcome to the trash pile.
Keep it rolling. Just keep it going.
Heard here, Alex. What? There's video? Yes.
I knew we did YouTube. I just didn't know you could do that on the back end of showing different. That's awesome.
And actually, Adam's the one that tempted it. I think you asked if it was a possibility in the very
Yeah, he was
beginning.
the first one that done it.
Yeah. And then we were like, whoa, what else can we do?
Pioneer.
Climbing
You are
the
a
ladder
pioneer.
here. Climbing
Yeah,
the ladder.
working your way out.
I'm really kind of in awe that you guys actually listen to other podcasts. I can't do that anymore.
Because this one's so good.
Because if I, well,
Because you're just so critical of how they
Yes.
edited it or whatever. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
because I can't listen to it and just listen to it and enjoy
for the
it.
content. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a really good perspective.
I just can't because every once in a while I'll like, oh, I'm going to listen to this, and I'm like, oh, nope, can't do it.
So what do you do, Kim? Then is it audiobooks? Is it Netflix? Like, what is because for me, like podcasts, depending on which podcast, is either my unplugged time that I'm listening, like where I'm trying to turn my brain off and listen to something that I'm interested in learning about, or it's like a work-related podcast, something that I'm trying to help improve on. But what for you, if work, right, is editing and listening to these podcasts, how do you turn your brain off and you can't listen to podcasts?
Crochet.
What do you do?
Crochet.
I do.
Well, she does those two in one.
Yeah. I
She's
read.
multitasking.
I read some.
Okay.
My really unplug is true crime documentaries.
Okay.
I probably watch just about all of them on Netflix.
Huh.
I'm really yeah. I can't not be into the true crime stuff with
your-
Shane.
Sure.
Because we go every
Yeah.
year to CrimeCon in wherever it's at. Next year's going to be in Orlando, but
I love that you
I have
brought that
always
up.
been I've always been a true crime buff. Anyway, that's how I started. When he first started doing his true crime podcast, then we were still working at that place, and that's what I did. I would listen to true crime podcasts all day long. I can't do the podcasts anymore, but I'll watch the documentaries.
So you alluded to, I'm glad you brought up CrimeCon. You know, we have one of the best sitting in here. We are so blessed to have you and have Shane in this community to bring you on board and then to help us. For our listeners who aren't as familiar with what CrimeCon is, can you just talk a little bit about that? Because you attend. You and
Yep.
Shane attend. And so
My first one was in Vegas in 22. I've only missed one since then, and that's because I'd had surgery just a few weeks before that actually happened. But it's just a community. They have panels that come in and talk about different cases and about victims. It's very victim oriented, and they come in to keep awareness of unsolved crimes. And you'll get people like the guy that does 2020. He's usually there. Nancy Grace is usually there. There's a lot of big name people that's in the true crime world, and they come and they speak for an hour, and it's a huge convention. You go from one talk to another. It's a 3-day event, and it's awesome. Every year they have a board that you can put your loved one if they're missing or if they've been murdered and it's unsolved or whatever. So you can put a picture on there. And every year I stand because that's what it's about. We want these cases solved. And I'll stand there and I'll just look at all of these faces of people that are missing or have been murdered and they don't know who done it. And the only thing you can do is just stand there in awe and cry, because our world shouldn't be like this, you know, and that's why we go. We go to bring, you know, try to get comfort to some family members by solving their crime. And it's a really cool place. I know some people are like, oh, that's so weird. It's really not. You're trying to make something better for a family.
How many people attend? So you are going as a podcaster
Yeah, we
in
have
the
a booth.
true crime world.
We have a booth. So they'll have, normally it's like 4 or 5 ballrooms, and there's somebody speaking in each ballroom. And then that only lasts an hour, and then they change to a different speaker in all of the ballrooms. There's hundreds of people. And then they have Podcast Row, so you can go meet some of your favorite true crime podcasters. We're always there for Foul Play. We have a lot of really good friends that are true crime podcasters now that we are always excited for CrimeCon, because we get to go see our friends too. It's not all work. And then they all have a merch store, but it's a really cool community. I think last year, so we just had one in Vegas in the end of May, and I think there was around 7,000 people there.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's
And
pretty
Foul
close.
Play's an award-winning true crime podcast.
Yeah, he's won numerous awards with Foul Play.
You too. I mean, you're on the team.
Well,
Don't sell
I
yourself
didn't
short.
do any of that stuff. Well, I guess I did. I have the last couple of years, but
Awesome.
How well known is the Foul Play and Shane Waters' name in the crime con community, or in the true crime podcast community?
he was one of the first ones.
So he is
So
highly.
he is very highly there. There's a lot of people when they want to set up a podcast or want to look into a case or whatever. There's a lot of people that get a hold of him for a lot of different stuff. He does way too much. He always puts way more on himself than what he should. But he can't turn a victim away or a family of a victim away, and he doesn't have the into him to turn somebody away like that. That it needs help, basically, to solve that crime.
It's amazing that you get to work alongside him. You have a sensitivity for loss, unexpected loss. And so the fact that you two have built this amazing friendship and are at this point where you're going with him to CrimeCon, 7,000 people there. Do you think that does our podcast qualify for any convention?
On our podcast budget, we wouldn't be traveling to one anyways.
We'll have to host it in Alex's conference room in North Manchester.
Last year I was in Colorado, and that was my favorite place that we've been. Was Colorado. That complex was beautiful.
Put a lot of work into it. Any other thoughts or questions you might be dying to know from Kim in your rapid fire question list? I know you're a little timid and gun shy over there.
I'm very-
He's
very
afraid of what I'm
nervous.
going to say.
Yeah.
You may not have this dialed up and ready to go, Kim, so I don't want to put you too much on the spot. But of all the things, places, people you've heard about in the ThriveIN Wabash County podcast, whether it's somebody's favorite restaurant, whether it's a leader of a nonprofit organization that you haven't met yet, who's the one guest or the one place that you've heard about listening and editing our show that you would experience that you haven't yet in Wabash?
I really want to go to that place downtown that's got all of the games and stuff.
Four Seasons Social Club.
Come on.
I think that would be really cool to go to.
Let's
we'll
walk
take
down
you.
right now. Let's hang up and go.
Yeah.
Hang up and go.
If there was an episode that we could do a follow-up on, is there one that comes to mind? Obviously, another bad question.
No, I was just, that's funny you say that while she's thinking. I was just going to make the comment that that's one thing about you that I would say there's no doubt in my mind listening to all of our episodes. You're a really good, thoughtful question asker. You're the most prepared for an episode. Come in with your stuff dialed in. And I know you've been prepared for episodes before too, but you just always come up with really good questions. I feel like to ask guests that settle them and start a lot of really good answers from them, get their brains working and answering questions in a good way.
Thanks.
You're
I think the one that I would want to see a follow up to, but it wouldn't be something that would be done real soon it would be like 5 years down the road. I would love to see where those valedictorians go.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Great idea.
We could budget that in every year of once we get more
Slate it.
seasons in, right? We could just slate when those people would come back, the year that they would be back. Yeah, that's great.
Great
Really good
suggestion.
idea.
Just for you, Adam, I'm going to dig at him for a second because
Come on.
down, baby.
Come on.
I think he needs it.
Come on.
When I done that episode, I sent Christina a message. I said, you need to tell him that I had to edit him more than I did those two girls.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were digging.
No.
Oh, I was prepared for another dig at you. Out here I am. I'm sitting here listening. And
No,
shut up from
I'm
the
talking
side.
about you.
I have no doubt about that. I walked. That episode was so great. I came
I
in
don't
in
think
a
I
hard
touched
week.
them at all.
Yeah, it was a hard
it was
week.
a couple things. That was it.
Yeah, and I just walked out of that episode so refreshed of like,
Yes. it
man,
was
this
really
is
good.
why we do what we do, right? In this community is because they were so impressive. I felt that way in the episode. So
And-
I
It was
appreciate
really
you sharing that. Yeah.
Part of that was probably on me. I was supposed to sit in on that episode. I mean, that was my idea. And was I sick or I think I was sick.
Oh,
And,
yeah, I think you were.
Last minute, I just said, Alex, I can't do it. And so you just ran with it on your own. And
But the credit to those two, they're both extremely talented. That'll be really fun when in a few years to bring them
Yeah,
back
to
on.
see where they go in
yeah,
life.
yeah. That's how it felt in
I would
the
like
episode
to.
too.
I wouldn't mind seeing a second one on your son too. After he finishes his walk across the country, and the girl that was at
Aaron,
yeah
Whatever they're going to
the
do.
national parks. Yeah, it'd be cool to hear from them again.
If you had your own Kim Morrow podcast, is there someone anywhere outside? You can't choose the three of us, Kim. Okay. Who would you like to sit down and interview?
Man,
Yeah. Who?
you may have the best question. asked
I'd love to know. Think how she's listened to all of our randos, right? I mean, they're purpose for us, but she didn't know them. So she's listened to people that she would have no reason to get to know. She's been to CrimeCon. She's worked with Shane. She's done 2 different podcasts or several with him.
Oh yeah, we've done it for quite a few years.
Yeah. Anybody?
Is it somebody that I know or somebody I've never met?
That's up to you.
It would probably be Cheryl McCollum.
Why so?
She is an amazing person. Do you know who she is?
I do not.
Okay. I was a little nervous. I was trying to hide my facial expression for not knowing. I looked at everyone and I was like, everyone looks like they're acting like they know who that is. Okay.
She's in the true crime world. She
Okay.
lives in Atlanta. She's always been a detective. She just started an agency. I can't remember. She's the president. She just started. I don't remember what the name of it is. But she just wrote a book called Swans Don't Swim in the Sewer. And it's about a lady getting in touch with her to solve her daughter's murder. And the father of that girl was a serial killer. So they wanted her to solve the case of a serial killer's daughter being murdered. And that's what that book's about.
Now, not to spoil if our listeners are going to go read the book, but
I've not read it yet, so
so you may not know, the result of that was the serial killer father, the one that killed the daughter?
No, because he
Wow.
was in prison.
Wow.
So many stones.
I've read the
unturned.
first 4 chapters, and the only reason I've done that is because I've done it on my phone. I haven't bought the book yet, but yeah, so I don't know how it
Cheryl
ends.
McCullough.
Cheryl McCollum. They call her
McCollum.
Mac. hmm
Mac.
She's on Nancy Grace a lot. Her and Nancy Grace have a podcast together.
Awesome.
I can't remember what the name of it is.
What
And
a
her
great, thoughtful
podcast.
answer.
Yeah, her podcast is called Zone 7, and that's just Cheryl's.
That's just hers. You have listened to. We won't do the hours. I should have estimated the hours if you've listened to us.
Don't even know.
Have you?
No.
Oh, I thought you said I have.
No.
Oh. And we have to be at over 100 collective episodes between season 1 and half of season 2 recorded.
Yeah, I think so.
You have heard our hearts. You have heard our outtakes, our bloopers. You have heard our guests and sometimes vulnerable moments, funny moments, their stories, their lives. And yet we started by saying, you don't live here. You've considered it. We're hoping to get you to land. But you've seen the value of what Wabash County has to offer. now that you're and will continue to be an advocate of ours and a fan of the show, but this community, what's something that you would want a listener to take away? Because you're producing this with a perspective of trying to tell a story. What would you want a listener to take away from our collective episodes?
I think I just would want them to know that everything that you guys are talking about is the truth about Wabash County, it being different and special. And I'm sure there's people out there that are watching and are like, oh, come on, it can't be that great. No, it really is that great. And yeah, I kind of wish I'd lived here, but I can't leave my grandbaby, you know.
We're going to work on that.
If I had a chance and they, you know, if they came with me, I would move up here in a heartbeat. But yeah, I just want them to know that all the stuff that you guys say, all the people that you have on here, they're all telling the truth. It's a great place.
Wow. Our spokesmodel over there. Yeah. Just drop it right on the floor, Alex. Just drop it. Just drop it. Hearing you say that and the exposure you've had not only in the podcast world, but being someone who lives outside of our community and feeling you feel so vested, it truly means a lot to us that you see that translated through the work that we're doing, because that is our heart, and it always has been our heart.
My little town I live in, they don't do nothing there. It really amazes me how much stuff you guys are always got something going on up here.
Well, and if we just take a second, I just thought of this too. We have some loyal listeners that have probably heard every single episode, some, right? But that's a very small amount that have listened to every single episode start to finish. Kim's listened to every single episode start to finish. Also, all the stuff cut out, so the raw start to finish since we began. And if anybody has the right to feel annoyed about this isn't right, right, or this isn't genuine, or that it really can't be that great, and it's somebody that also doesn't live here that feels that way, that even takes it a step further, right? I know the three of us are biased, but you have every right to be the one that's frustrated or doesn't believe that Wabash is what it is, because you've heard every single minute of every single episode that we've done.
Yeah. More so than even us, because I don't listen to your raw. I don't listen to Christine's raw.
Same.
And we know you're capable of being honest because you were with so many of us in this room about a half an hour ago. So we know that. Also, Kim is a truth teller.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've been racking my
tell
brain.
A lie.
I've been racking my brain to come up with a specific question that I can ask Kim where she can at least bring Christine down off the pedestal.
She said I was loud.
Which I would have put money on me for that, too. I thought that was,
I sometimes laugh right into the mic. She's probably like, mute. Turn your head.
Every once in a while, I'm like, oh my goodness, Christine.
See? That's all you guys get. Sounds like a really good time to end
Wrap
this
it up and thank our sponsors.
That's what I was just going to say. Well, Kim, as you know what time it is, we are going to, of course, thank the others that make this. Not only has Shane and Waters and Company made this podcast possible, our guests hear us talk to you on air for edits. Kim, you have to edit this. Kim, we're starting here. Oops, Kim, I'm going to start over. Our guests get to hear that, but now the rest of our listeners get to know who you are, and you help make this podcast amazing and fix Adam, which sounds like he's a total train wreck, so thank gosh.
Kim deserves a raise.
Kim, yes.
Adam's earned Kim a raise, and he's out of a job. And
You hear that, Shane? I need a raise.
Well, thank goodness we do have these sponsors and these supporters that make it possible. Bowen Health has joined us, of course. They have a commercial spot that starts every single one of our episodes, and they help offset that cost to fix Adam's problems, as well as the Lisa Gilman Investment Fund, the Sandra Kunkel Trust, Mark and Amy Ford, Paperworks Industries, the Community Foundation of Wabash County, the City of Wabash, and of course, Visit Wabash County. We are grateful for all of those people and entities that allow us to have Kim as our producer to share these stories of Wabash County. So
Definitely my pleasure. I love doing them.
it's awesome. Well, until next time, I'm Christine Floor,
I'm Adam Stakeman.
now I'm Alex Downard.
and this is the ThriveIN Wabash County podcast.